So Lily,
Edward.
thank you for joining us and being such a great force for change.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So when you look back at the past year, what changes have you made personally and professionally?
Biggest change is I moved to Portugal, which was the country I first visited with you.
Yes.
When I was 15 years old.
You were 15-year-old.
And now I'm back there, 33 years old. So that's a fairly sizable change. I think it reflects also the fact that I was trying to move more into nature, simplify, slow down. A lot of the ideas I wrote about in my book came out last year, and I felt like I kind of tasted my medicine. I finished writing the book and was forced through COVID to live it. And professionally, I'm going into a more creative phase. I've spent a lot of the last 10 years doing more business activisty work, and I'm really missing, creativity and collaboration. So I'm trying to bring more of that into my life. What about you?
What have I learned? Oh my God, I have learned to be patient. Because we're all at home, we thought so much more about the environment, so much more about, each other, social change. All these things happened while we were supposed to be in the worst sort of moment of our lives. I think it was really, something good came out of it.
We make it sound like it was a joy. It was tough too.
So let's go back to your book. It's become a handbook of sorts for solving climate change. Can you tell us a bit more about your book?
Sure. So it's called Who Cares Wins. I've been working for 15 or so years in the sustainable fashion space, the social business space, environmental space, and I've seen so much positive change and trends happen in those last 15 years.
Why do you think climate change has now entered the public consciousness? I mean, that's what everyone talks about.
Because it's real, because we're waking up. I mean, when I first started researching the climate crisis when I was in my teens, it baffled me that it wasn't a big conversation. Because you look at the information and what the scientists have been saying for decades, and you're like, guys, this is our only home. And therefore, it's sort of obvious that it's becoming a bigger conversation, as unfortunately, we are seeing more and more of the effects, I think.
And what sparked your first activism?
An image flashed in my brain when you said that, which I put in the US edition of the book, which is a photograph of me. We live next to Portobello Market, and I'd always
Of course.
Yeah.
We're from the same area.
Yeah, I know. I have all these funny pictures of me, sort of modeling before I was modeling, just wearing wacky, weird clothes. And I've got one that's me wearing a fake fur coat, and I'd handmade a sign that said, "Don't wear fur."
Yeah.
So it's kind of this ironic statement, but that's the first visible, moment of activism I can point to.
And I remember a story, even when you were 16, you were modeling on the runway, but you refused to wear fur.
I was in Milan Fashion Week, and I had worn fur at the very beginning of my career. And then it took me a few years to have the confidence to say no. But then I started saying no to more and more things. I remember my agent, who I love, saying to me, "Aren't you afraid you're biting the hand that feeds you?" But it also just felt like I had no choice because I had to follow my truth. And as you'll probably know well, thank God the industry's been going in a better direction. So actually, luckily so far, it kind of worked out for me.
And what advice will you give to young people who want to make a stance?
Finding what gives you meaning and what speaks to your heart, and once you find that, then you have the power to push through whatever you're working on.
And how have you changed your own behaviors to sort of change your carbon footprint?
Oh, not at all. I'm perfect. And I have to make peace with the fact that I'm always going to be a hypocrite, first and foremost. And I have made loads of changes. That was a joke. In terms of choices I've made, I'm predominantly vegan, I have an electric car, I've reduced my travel massively, and I offset when I do. And I also have tried to just change my attitude to stuff. I really love having less.
And I heard that when you were pregnant with your daughter Wild, you wrote on Post-its saying you and your partner will share everything 50-50. Tell me about that.
Well, I wrote a chapter in my book on gender inequality or gender equality and the climate. And there are so many intersections there. And a lot of gender inequality, as we know, comes also from childcare and from the kind of different roles that we've assumed over time. I just wanted to make it really clear from day zero, that it was going to be equal. And I also think in our case, the 50-50 really is as important for him as it is for me, because it's saying, yes, I expect 50% of support on everything except breastfeeding. Yeah. That was the Post-it note. I'll take most of the breastfeeding. But equally, I wanted him to also feel empowered as an equal parent, And
are you concerned that the pandemic has set back gender equality sort of both at home and at work?
I think it's too early for me to see or say. When you look historically, huge change, both positive and negative, has often happened after a crisis.
It's sort of in the face of the challenges we're facing and have faced. How can we stay optimistic?
It's just saying we have the power to choose something better. And the other thing that inspires me is the fact that most people care, you know?
And how do you personally motivate young people to change?
Oh, I think young people motivate me. I'm not trying to motivate any young people. Yeah, for real. I like learning.
Lily, I've known you since you were a 15-year-old. You were always a force for change, and you continue to be. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Truly, having known you for so long and watched your work and your trajectory, I have to say, like, hats off. You know, I think you've been a real force for change
Thank you. So have you?
In our industry and in the wider culture that affects. So
I just literally looked out there and saw what I saw, the people I saw, the different colors, the races, the ages, the religions, and just wanted to sort of give everybody a place to feel welcome.
thank you.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye.